with another festival review. This time I'm covering Noisily Festival. So, will I be going back to the woods anytime soon? Keep watching this video to find out. Let's start with the pre-visit stuff. When you get your ticket, you are sent an email with an electronic welcome pack. This in-depth PDF contains all of the basic information a Noisily newbie needs, from site opening times through to a basic packing list. Perfect for someone like me that needs a literal list to manage her life. In addition, there is a free app which allows you to plan your schedule. What I liked about this app is the ability to listen to some of the DJs, MCs work prior to arriving at the festival, and you could do this simply by linking your Spotify account. For someone who was very unfamiliar with these artists prior to arrival, it was a great trip for me, planning where I was going to get my content a lot easier. There is also a group chat on WhatsApp full of people that are able to answer your questions about anything from what the ground conditions are like to how dodgy the signal is in the woods. Also, Chris, the marketing guy, has one of the fastest festival reply rates I have ever seen in a festival Facebook group in the 5+ years I've been running my Melton, and his responses to me personally have always been prompt. Take note of the organisers and marketing teams. As somebody who needs this sort of communication to help plan content, not only as a planner but also as someone who's autistic, I was a very happy duck. And I personally think a few festivals could easily take note of this in order to avoid pissing people off in the future. Now for the actual visit. We arrived on the Saturday afternoon due to Lee's work pattern and a particularly eventful search for an airbed pub. Turns out we have lots of airbeds, not many pubs. Once we got there, we were greeted by two very upbeat ladies at the gate, who then directed us to parking, where an absolute legend that I forgot to take a picture of directed us to our spot whilst making us laugh in the process. Once we'd got our things, it was off to explore and set up camp, and then have a wander round before the first session that we decided to check out. And during this exploration, we decided to get food because my boyfriend was hungry, and altogether now, a fed boyfriend is a more productive and willing one. We decided to check out the burger stand, which had this beautiful cheeseburger. Now, bear in mind, said burger was cooked medium, rare, straight medium. So if you are like my boyfriend and like your cow truly cremated, you may want to look at another option if they come back next year. We paid $13.50 for a burger and chips, which I thought, given the quality of said burger and the fact that you're at a festival, was actually a fairly decent price. And I've paid similar at other places for a much worse quality burger. Come on, Kelly, get your words out. Please note that the food trade as a whole were really good vibes, really good quality food. But if you are a very picky eater like Lee is, I would advise packing sarnies, pasties, etc. with you, because there isn't that much for picky eaters, or at least there wasn't this year. I was all right though, because I'm a lot more adventurous and willing to try anything. And what else was reasonable at this festival was the bar. Soft drinks were around $2.50, which is cheaper than other festivals that I've covered previously on the channel. Cup cocktails, they were £10 to £12, depending on what you're having. The sushies were in the 10 mark. Tinnies were £8 each, or you get 2 for 15 and then your tinny cocktails. And you'll be pleased to know that I was jumping up and down because I could just use cash at Noisily. Like, you just walk up to the bar, you give them your money, out pops a drink. You don't have to do this token bollocks that I hate. I did a whole rant about the token system and why I hated it on the Glaston budget review. Check that out if you haven't already. But yeah, I hate it. So, rant about that aside, we started our first workshop with a seduction game section, which was a series of activities built around the art of seduction. We both found it a bit weird, not going to lie, because of the idea of connecting with strangers and flirting with strangers and responding to stranger seduction, but it did also foster a case of closeness between the two of us, so it was a bit of a swings and roundabouts affair. Next up, we checked out a live podcast recording titled Be the Change. Now, I thought this was all going to be like hug the trees and eat the rich in their sleep sort of vibes, but I was very pleasantly surprised by the depth of the topics from the panel. From the idea of our ease to focus on the negatives in the environment as opposed to what we can do to change it, to this idea of duality and actually seeing things in a bigger picture, and how interesting the West's attitude to drugs is more dangerous than not dangerous because of this lack of aspect of rite of passage and support from experienced elders for people that want to go down that field, which meant that I had lots of ideas that I pondered, and some of my own personal beliefs were challenged in that process. And it's definitely a workshop and a talk that I would consider returning to next year, or at the very least checking out a similar topic, because it definitely changed my perspective on certain things. Now, whilst we were there, it was absolutely pissing it down with rain, so when we got round afterwards, we were completely stuck to the mud. Thank you, emu boots. And then we decided to go and check out a session where a professional dom based in London did a 30-minute condensed session of one of his paid services. Now, I can't show you videos of this for obvious reasons. I'm afraid this is a tell, don't show jobby. But basically, it did enough to start curiosity, but it wasn't full on corn. There was a little bit of Chelsea bun showing from the lady in the partnership, but that was as far as skin went, and we were able to leave at any point if we found it too intense, had enough, etc. And then in between all of these workshops and talks, I remembered that Noisily was actually a dance festival alongside the wellness and the holistic side, so I then went to check out the stages and accidentally stumbled across an RTD set. Noisily organisers, please bring this man back, because he was brilliant. He was engaging, everybody was vibing, and it was all I could ever ask for. The only reason I didn't stop longer was somehow I managed to lose Lee. Within about 10 minutes of me filming Marky D, he'd gone missing, I'd gone missing. And we'll talk about the reason why we ended up going missing later on in the video when we talk about the sizing of the site. So after I reunited with him, I suggested about this idea of this dance class, and we went, no. So he left to grab tea whilst I put part in this dance class, which is described as altar. Now, I've never partook in an altar class before, and I imagine unless you are a member of Noisily family that's watching this, you've probably not heard of it, and that's okay. The easiest way to describe altar, based on my experience of it on Saturday, was that it's a nightclub meets mindfulness and yoga. So we're all invited to roll on this specialist blend to bind us as a class, and then it was just like a move, shout to the music, wherever the vibe took us. Oh, and there were bubbles. I'm a massive sucker for bubbles. You give me food, bubbles and puppies in a room and I am a very happy content creator. After some attempt of a tactical nap whilst the sun was setting, I then went back outside onto the arena in my PJs. Why? Well, I was told way back in March when I sat on a meeting about Noisily that the reason there's a big push for their after dark entertainment is due to their visual aspect. So, naturally, I wanted to see if the bite was worth the bark or if it was just a couple of, things and go home. And, oh my goodness, it was. This was easily the best part of my Noisily experience. The light displays really encouraged exploration of the woods. The staging was just absolutely spectacular. And I loved just sitting there at midnight, staying cold sober, watching the lights, even whilst I was waiting for my tech to charge up because my phone ended up dying slightly, which was a bit annoying. Even if you're not an electronic music fan and you're just going to the festival for the mind, body and soul side of it, as opposed to the dance and trance music, I implore you to at the very least walk around the full site when the sun goes down and just appreciate the art and the majesty that goes into it, because it is absolutely memorizing and stunning, and it's, oh my goodness, it's gorgeous. Now, I've told you what I did, so it's time to tell you on my thoughts on the other things. So let's start with negative. Was there anything I didn't like? The loose. Mainly because it was basically you had to be sat in a hole and down it went, and because of that, it absolutely stank. And it was a little bit of an adventure trying to find one in the camping area at 2:30 in the morning sober, because there wasn't really much in terms of signage. So God knows what it would have been like if you were not sober. Noisily organisers for next year, can we please just have some environmentally friendly air fresheners and some signage just so we know where everything is, please? Because I was not the only person looking for the toilets around the site, both in the actual arena itself and the campsite. What I did love now, we're going back to the positives, is that there were loads of entertainment options. And I want to touch on this because Noisily has a festival of about 5,000 people, give or take. And that's similar to other festivals that I've covered this year when we've spoken about atmosphere, spoken about staging. But despite those numbers and a bigger festival site than those other places that I've previously covered. You had 4 to 5 stages of music, workshops, activity tents, traders that had entertainment on as well. And the atmosphere was still brilliant. Like, there were still those people, everyone was vibing, everyone was dancing, both in the daytime and the nighttime. And if we go back to that aspect of exploration that I briefly mentioned when I spoke about the after dark visuals, this is a festival that you have to go and like check out the various footpaths and all the different nooks, because if you don't do that, you will miss a lot. I found that when I was doing the night stuff. When you do go on your little exploration adventure, just make sure you make note of any big sculptures, visuals. There's plenty of them around the site, and use those to help make your way back. Because if you don't, and your directions are as good as mine, you will get lost. That's how I ended up losing Lee. That's how I ended up spending about 45 minutes wandering around trying to get back to where I was, where my phone was charging. And I must say, before I round off the review, that Noisily as a whole is one of the most, if not most, welcoming group of people I've ever met in the 5+ years of doing my Melton. Everyone from the gate people as we arrived, who I mentioned earlier, to our tent neighbours was so easy to talk to. They respected your space when you needed it, as was the case with the seduction workshop, where the person I was sat with clearly saw I was uncomfortable, with Lee being there, and was like, yeah, we'll just talk about something else. There's no judgment, and you can truly be yourself at Noisily. As a neurodivergent woman who has to mask in a lot of social situations to fit in, quote unquote, the ability to just be able to dance around and talk to people and wear bright colours and just be my truest self was really welcomed by me. So what are my final thoughts? To explain this, I want to give you the definition of culture as per one of the meanings in the Oxford Dictionary. They say culture is the arts and other manifestations of human intellectual achievement regarded collectively. Noisily is a festival that truly demonstrates this idea of culture. From the stunning art pieces as you walk into the main arena, to the sculptures that fill the woods and the stunning seating areas, and the people that sit round the campfire at night, there is truly a celebration of humanity and all of the loves and power that humanity has everywhere you look on that site. We as a borough of Melton need to start moving out this samey, promote the same 50 things times rut and go to the same people, promote the same people over and over again, and instead start to experience festivals like this in person. Not be fearful of them, not judge them because they've got a bit of foot music, and start promoting them as the fantastic asset they are. Look, it's okay if you try it and it's not your thing. Lee will openly admit it wasn't his. All I ask is that you approach Noisily with an open mind, because if you do, you'll truly embrace it as this different world, this world full of creativity, full of positivity and hope for the future. All things that the borough of Melton Mowbray as a whole should be embracing and not fearing. This week, there has been plenty of conversations within various circles in Melton about live entertainment and culture, especially on the back of a recent Melton Times news article that was published last week. Mainly that the aspects of things like this just been, in my personal opinion, just straight up being ignored or shut down. And if it wasn't for Noisily, we would still be having these conversations. And it's thanks to Noisily, and it's thanks to me appreciating Noisily, that I'm now setting up some committees and meeting groups focusing on these aspects. And you can bet your ass that Noisily will have an invite and a seat at that table. They're people that we need to start embracing. They're a community we need to start embracing. And if you haven't already, you guys need to experience the festival for yourself. I personally will be looking forward to going back to the woods. Let me know if you guys agree with my opinions in the comment section. Make sure to share this video out to anybody that would be interested in it. And if you haven't already, follow me for more Melton Mowbray content. And I will see you guys next time.